Hey y'all, welcome to Other Realm Studio. I'm Paula, and let's see. Today I did a little bit of work just converting an older piece to PNG, and now I can get started on my Android Oracle piece for today. Wait a second. No! No! Is this completely gone? Okay, recent. What on earth? Okay, there it is. My heart stopped for a second. Let me see if I can do this in the chat. Okay, I think we're all good now. Good gracious. I am a mess today. Alright, so I need to get my pen. It's around here somewhere. So today I think I'm going to do some texture on these mountains, and I'm not quite sure if I'm going to be using the texture pack. Like here, I mean, we have what they call a massive rock. It's a little gray. Let's see. Yeah, that's not really a good shape for what I'm going for here. And here we've got a small stone, which looks like that's a little bit exploded right there. So yeah, maybe I won't be using those. But I did want to get some more texture going on in the rock to heighten the contrast between our android and our figures and the background. Because the android's going to have some more smoother lines, a little bit banged up. but the rocks are going to look a lot more craggy. So I am pretty happy that I got in here today. Um, I've been working on cleaning out my study. Yeah, it's a pretty decent mess in here. Uh, I've had a lot of different projects going on, and they've migrated a little bit to the rest of the house, so that's not good. And we've got stuff going on over here over the weekend, so before then, I really need to get some things straightened out. So what I'm doing right now is trying to remember, how do I draw rocks? Let's see. So I'm scuffing up the texture a little bit and trying to remember that there's going to be splits and shadows and cracks and crags and so forth. Let's see. So, after this weekend, I'm going to get back to work on the the Kickstarter fulfillment, and I should still be pretty well ahead of time. Yeah, I was expecting to be able to deliver everything by August or before September anyway. And I have everything that I need. I just need to get it all lined up and sent out. Fortunately, shipping used to be my job, so that shouldn't be too terribly difficult. I haven't done a lot of shipping from here before, and it has been a little while. The methods are a little different now. Um, but I have a shipping scale or a postage scale, and I'll be able to buy all my postage online and stuff. So that should work out really well. Now, doing all this texture work is going to be absolutely maddening. So, I don't know, should I stick with the graphics pen or should I do something a little different? That does not help me at all. Hmm. Yeah, I'll stick with the pen. One thing about art is you can't really be afraid to do the work and cover the paper. So I'm thinking that um, the light's a little bit tricky. But in here, at least there's going to be shadows cast by the rock and by the other obstacles as well. So there's going to be some places where it's going to be it's going to be shadowed just because it's a rough surface. Hmm. So when I went out this time to check on the chickens and the bunny and tell them good night, I did not see any sign of the practically tarantula-sized spider, and I'm just as happy. Although now you gotta wonder, well, where is it now? I'm just gonna try not to think about that. So, um, I keep thinking of things to say, and then I'm like, nah, it's kind of a lot of a drama. I don't really want to bring up any drama. I think the art streams are just inherently very relaxing and uh, they're very calming to just see, you know, see stuff appear and order out of chaos or art out of nothing. And it's very soothing to try and anticipate where the artist is going to do their next line and see if you guessed right. or see if there's any techniques that you can use yourself. Um, See if you can absorb anything by osmosis or whatever. Um, so it is a very peaceful sort of, uh, oh yeah, I guess it counts as a program. Yeah, it's a peaceful sort of program. So I don't really want to introduce any drama. I mean, I guess it's bad enough that I keep my ear to the ground on what's going on with everybody in the comics creation world, and you have to have a lot of discernment in order to figure out, what's a real thing and what's just people trying to get attention or pitching a fit because they had hurt feelings. Or maybe they just listened to the wrong rumor. Well, actually, I think listening to any rumor is the wrong rumor. So, yeah, there's been a lot of gossip going on in the comics creation, in the indie comics, and even among some of the pros. And I don't do that. That's just not what I'm about. So, one of the things that's going on in my comic, actually, it does take and deal with, well, later on in later issues, it does take and deal with uh, what happens when you start rumors about somebody and you think you're justified, but you're just ruining their lives for nothing. And it's hurtful and it's wrong. I, there really aren't that many things that are more evil than spreading a lie about somebody and trying to ruin their life. And yet, you see it all the time. So I'm just really concerned for, you know, not to be weird about it or anything, but I am concerned for the souls of people who spread rumors. I I worry about them. That's a damaging thing to do to yourself. Is to turn yourself into the kind of person who will not even backstab, but just report stuff without even finding out if it's true. And people don't even have a good reason for doing it. It's just attention. So yeah, anyway, that was kind of sad. I mean, I haven't seen anything terribly damaging lately, but it bothers me the stuff that I've seen from even a few months ago that I think is now calmed down. there's no guarantee that it's going to stay calmed down. Okay, let's deepen in some of these shadows. Okay, let me zoom out of this again. Okay, that looks reasonably like rock, I think. So, yeah, I'm getting there. Some things you gotta zoom in. Maybe not quite that much. But yeah, you gotta zoom in to do the detail on it. Now, stop that. But then once you do, it's a lot easier to lose sight of the bigger picture. So since I downloaded OpenTunes, I have not had a chance to really look at it or to even get that far through the uh, production process manual. So, I mean, I would really love to start building up some animation libraries, actually. Um, but I just don't have time. I've got to get my Kickstarter awards sent out. I got to mail out everybody's comics. I also have Geek Market coming up at Borderlands Comics and Games on the 13th. I got a table, and I'm pretty excited to be going. Some of the I'd gotten a good start on going to a lot more cons last year. I found a lot more of the smaller ones, but I did not find their information again in time to sign up for them for this year, so a lot less cons, or a lot fewer cons. Excuse me, I don't have any grammar today. And there's a possibility that one or two of them actually went under, and the one that I really love at the library is no more, unfortunately. I'm really sorry because I really like those librarians. They were so organized. I mean, can you imagine an organized Comic Con? I mean, it was tiny. I suppose they had to be organized in order to fit everybody. But yeah, it was an incredible experience. They were so nice. But no more Library Con. But this one, it's put on by the same people who do the con that I go to in the spring, which is SC Comic Con. Sorry, apparently I can't draw rocks and speak. Who would have thought? That's what would have tripped me up. Getting some nice randomized rubble going on in here. So over at Borderlands Comics and Games, it's a short show, and I wish I could just tell you what time it's going to be, but you'll just have to look it up if you want to come see me there. I'm going to have some copies of Soulbound #1 for sale, because I managed to print enough to have a few extra after fulfilling the Kickstarter, so that's good. Also, as soon as I get the digital copies straightened out and mail off the physical copies for everything, I'm wanting to run another Kickstarter this year to build up funds a little bit. I don't think I can get issue 2 done before the end of the year. It's not terribly likely. And I'm trying to watch out what I'm doing with my taxes. So I think I've heard somewhere that it's best to keep your comics produced in the same fiscal year as when you raise the money to make them. So what I'm thinking I can do is I can commission like the cover art this year, and then first thing next year I can get started on a new crowdfund to, hang on, I'm trying to figure out which way the rocks fall. That sounds terrible. Like, I really should be able to figure it out. It's rocks. Come on. Did not like that last collection of lines. Let's try this way. So what I'm wanting to do is try and get the cover done this year, maybe a little promotional art for it, and then next year do the crowdfund, get pre-orders, and see if I can ramp up my production schedule, really. I'd love to have 2 or even 3 issues produced in 2020. That would be amazing. But, it does depend on how much I can, um, how much I can get my artists to do at a time, and how much I can afford to do, because I run Other Realm Studio completely in the black. I don't go into any kind of debt for anything. I don't do a credit card with my business. Um, I don't even contract work that I am not going to be able to pay for one way or another. I mean, it's got to be in the budget uh, before I'll try and hire somebody to do it. So what that does is it keeps me out of trouble with a lot of things. You wouldn't expect, well, I don't know. It seems like when a lot of people, they start a business or they start trying to get a comic made or they start anything, they don't really see it coming that money is going to be your biggest problem about absolutely everything. Like, you're going to have people who are not going to do what they say they were going to do, and it's tied into money. Either they take your money and don't do anything, or they get caught up in a project that pays more than what you were paying, or they end up having to quit art uh, in order to have a more steady job doing something else. And there's a lot of things. Like, one, you should never really go into a partnership with anybody, because the other person, it's always somebody, or both of you, is always going to feel like they're doing more, and it's all going to end badly and ruin your friendship. Let me adjust my headset a bit. Yikes. And today I was reading about um, the difference between an LLC and a sole proprietorship. Sole proprietorship. So, I think I missed a syllable in there somewhere. So an LLC is a limited liability corporation, which, I don't know, I guess eventually I will have to do that. But for now, it's not really necessary for me. Okay, I'm starting to lose my rhythm on the way I had done these rocks up here. And these are getting less consistent, so I'm going to change tactics a little bit for this flatter ground. Right here for the pathway. Missed where I was going with that. But, oh yeah, one of the main things with the limited liability corporation is so that if you end up going bankrupt, then, it's harder for whoever you owe to come after your personal assets, like your house and stuff. And you know what? If you never go into any debt, then there's nobody to come after you. Although that does make it a little harder to do things like take strategic risks. I mean, if I was gonna borrow money, or if I had more money to work with in the budget, then I would probably be able to get, the entire, stuff like the entire series laid out, everything finished on a reasonable schedule, hire a few more people besides just the line artist and the letterer. See, I'm gonna bury these in the dirt a little bit. So if I had more money to work with, I'd be able to hire people. I'd be able to have the time to learn more. I could get the whole series made. I could get started on some of my other stories that I'm really excited to get those out as well. But, it's just going to take a while. And, I have to focus on one thing at a time or I'll never be able to get what I have done. And what a lot of people would do, which I understand, is they would borrow the money and try to make it back later. But I have already found out that that's not going to work for me. I can't do it. For whatever reason, I cannot borrow money and then make it back later. I don't know if it freaks me out too much or what. Let's see. Started really well on this. There, we'll just simplify that. So, my plan is only do as much as I have the funds for. And that means raising the money bit by bit to pay for each episode. Well, not episode, but each issue as I can. So, it's not great for my production schedule, but it does keep me out of trouble. Let's see. This got a little squirrely here for a second. I'll come back to it. So I'm pretty close to done with all the exciting bit of the line art. Unless you really like to see rock textures being drawn. Super exciting stuff, y'all. Rocks. Hmm. Okay, I think I got some of my rhythm back for that. I think the problem was I needed to do something with the slope, and it's a little difficult to tell which direction you need to go. And it's already 9:45, and I really need to start closing these out a little bit before 10 o'clock so that I can actually get some sleep eventually. Um, so I'm going to have to sign out pretty soon. Let me see if there's like one or two more things that I can work on real quick, something that'll make a bigger impact. So that it'll look like I've done more than just rocks. Okay, so I do have a path for these people to stand on. I did add a little more texture to the robes here. Well, faces at a distance, though. That's kind of difficult. Mm. Let's see, I might be able to get away with doing just a little bit of texture on the rocks in the distance, or on the mountains in the distance, because they're not going to be as broken up as the one that the giant android apparently landed on. So today I had to restart my computer, and I don't know why. For some reason, something went horribly wrong, and my little shortcuts down here at the bottom, none of them were there. My little file shortcut thing and all that, it was all gone. I couldn't click on my little window from my start menu. I mean, all I had was my shortcuts on my screen, and that's not good. That's not functional. But the problem is when you can't even click on your little start menu, you can't restart either, because you got to click on that before you can get to restart. And I ended up having to do the hard restart where you hold in the button on your computer and pray that everything that you needed backed up is backed up. So that was fun. It also took me 2 or 3 tries. But then finally, all my stuff came back. I ran a couple troubleshooters, didn't really find anything. Uh, Checked for updates, nothing needed updates. So I don't know. Don't know what's going on there. Let's see. I did a tiny bit of editing today, like a couple pages. It wasn't very much. I had made the serious mistake of a major part of my plot needed my main character to have a really good guess of what my other main character was thinking when she'd only known him for a little bit. So she's kind of impulsive, but she's not absolutely insane, and I didn't want to give off that impression. So I had to go back and think of what specific clues to what he was thinking did she have to go on. And that helped. I think that helped. I'm really excited for my editor to get to see it. Because I think it's going to be a winner. It's going to be a really good story. And that's the superhero novel. And I know where it's going to go for the next 2 books in the series. It's going to be amazing. I'm having all kinds of fun on it. And it's so nice to do the editing. I was kind of in a state of panic for the whole writing process. So the editing's really, really cool to do. There's a lot of things that I had second thoughts about including, but I had to had to just leave them in. Because if you start panicking and you start panicking and then you delete what you just wrote and then you try and write something better and then you panic again and think, oh, that's stupid, and then you delete that. Pretty soon you don't have a book anymore. You have even less than what you started with. So the way I was able to write the book was in a full-on panic and a rush and hurry quick while I have the time to get this written at 6 o'clock in the morning before the kids are up. And between 9 and 10 o'clock at night while the kids are in bed before I have to go to bed. So that's how I wrote it. Now editing's kind of going the same way, except with a lot less panic. Because I wrote it and I was terrified and I sent it in. They accepted it anyway. Goodness knows why. And all the stuff that I was afraid was a stupid idea. Or that I didn't get perfect before I ended up sending it in. It can actually stay. It's pretty good the way it is, which is shocking. The main problem is it just needs polishing, and I need to get back out of passive voice because I did a bunch of that, even though I knew to watch out for it. And also, stuff like head hopping, where you know better than to clue in one character on what another character's thinking, unless they really are meant to be psychic. Nope. Bumping into stuff over here. I just meant to stretch. Goodness. Okay, I'm gonna have to save this one for the night and go. Maybe after just a few more lines. Yeah, I do this every time. The moral of the story is don't delete while you're in the middle of writing. You have to move forward. You have to add. Don't subtract while you're supposed to be adding. Because some of what you're writing in a complete and utter panic is actually much better than you thought. And I would have had to have gone back and remembered what I was trying to do the first time, because leaving it out would have left plot holes. So I'm very glad that they got left in. My editor actually likes a lot of my stuff that I was worried was too out there. And Weird. And, well, she should know. She's a very good writer herself. Okay, so we're going to call this one a night. I think I've said this already. Let me go ahead and hit save. Thank you for watching. I really appreciate it. I have not seen any comments come up, but every now and then they don't. But you can come see more of my work at www.otherrealmstudio.com. And I'm open for commissions. I have a newsletter. I still need to write that newsletter. And oh yes, tomorrow I will not be on. I don't even know that I will be on for Thursday because that is the holiday after all, isn't it? But usually I'm on Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday between 9 o'clock and 10 o'clock. But I appreciate you watching. And come back and see me again sometime. I'll see you in the other realm. Good night.